So the reason why I'm making this video today is to give you on some insight about how I went through tuning my carburetor. It is a 390 CFM 4-barrel Holley on my custom 3.2 motor for my Fiero. Right out the box, putting it on the engine, running it, it was very well pig rich, and had this crazy bog. And the bog was so bad that, well, I ended up going through a transmission. And I knew that, I mean, don't get me wrong, after swapping in a 5-speed, hey, come on, Paul, dog just wants attention. After swapping in a 5-speed stick shift, it's, car's pretty good. I kind of like the 5-speed get rag that the Fiero had to offer. So the reason why I'm bringing this video to you is to explain everything that I've gone through, and for the people that have helped me through the ways. I used a lot of Uncle Tony garage videos of setting up my engine and getting it ready for first start, breaking in the camshaft. I also went through some of his videos on tuning the Hollies, but he didn't really go in crazy depth, and he's not a guy that you can really get a hold of. So within that, I ended up finding another guy. He goes by Holly How-To Videos. His name's Randy. Very well educated guy, and some of his stuff has helped me along the way. So right out the box, the thing was running super rich, and the bog was very bad. Well, the size squirter that comes stock on the carb is a 25 thousandths, and there's also the orange accelerator pump cam, and that comes in the first position. Well, I tried custom drilling the orange accelerator pump cam because they said, like, if you do like the hole in the middle would be half the cc's. Well, custom drilling didn't really work out too well. Also had the black accelerator pump cam because I bought a complete kit, and the black one was almost there. Ended up on the number 2 linkage with it and the number 2 hole, and the bog was noticeable but not so bad. And after that I was like, well, maybe I'll go talk to Rick over at HBR. Maybe he knows something, because he's an old guy, he's been around for a long time. And I was like, well, that guy's got to know something. So I go over there, I'm like, hey, my bog situation that I'm dealing with. He's like, yep, that's accelerator pump cam circuit. And he's like, what you want to do is you want to go up a size, and if it's real bad, then you know you got to go the opposite direction. And I'm like, oh, okay. So next thing you know, I found a 28 size squirter, put it in place of the 25. The bog was real bad. So I ended up getting a 21, and it was like a hit and miss. Like, it'd bog here and there, and then it wouldn't bog. After that, I was like, you know what, let me try an accelerator pump cam again. So I ended up with a pink one, and I ended up on the number 3 hole of the pink accelerator pump cam on the number 2 linkage hole. And I was like, it was very close. Like, it would bog cold, and then when it warmed up, it wouldn't bog, and it would bog here and there. It was just intermittent at this point. And I'm like, dang it. So I found an 18,000 size squirter, and I put it on the car, and the bog is gone. There's no more bog. The power output of the carb the throttle response is just so awesome now. And after I got that all set up, I was dealing with lean conditions, like at certain throttle positions, and I was like, dang it, here we go again. So more tuning. I ended up going down jets, up jets, and I ended up with a 52 thousandth Holley jet, which is actually a 50 thousandth in trueness. And so far it took care of most of my lean condition that was happening. But then at highway cruising speeds, if I was at part throttle and then I'd go to, if I'd want to go to wide open throttle, it would peg so lean that you'd feel this hesitation. And then when the secondaries kicked in, it'd fulfill the leanness, and then it would make power. And I was like, all right. Well, within all that, I ended up talking with Joe and Laz over at Fig Speed, and they were like, well, maybe you should get a metering block that accepts intrusion for air bleeds. And I was like, okay. So we got this custom metering block ordered that accepts air bleeds. I'm gonna grab my air bleed kit. Dogs are having a lot of fun with me right now. They're like, hey, what's all this? So I bought me a kit, and it accidentally came with 10 30-second air bleeds, and my metering block takes a 6 30-second, and after that I was like, well, dang it. So I ended up buying a pack of 10 6 30-second air bleeds that are, guys, 25 thousandths a piece. And then I also bought some custom drills from the Mako tool trip. So I knew that I was going to be doing some custom drilling. And so here's the stock metering block. And the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is it has an intrusion for an accelerator transfer tube, which the new metering block did not. And I was like, oh man, how am I going to do this? Well, I ended up using a drill press, and with a 1/4-inch drill bit, just basically took off. There's enough meat here on the custom one that hole is still casted where it needs to be. So I just did some drilling, and I'll show pictures of that. I didn't really make a video on that. And so in here is your power valve restrictor holes. And over here is actually where Holley put their idle restriction. On the new metering block, it's actually up here. It'd be in this area. And as you can also see, the emulsion holes, I only really have 2. I only have like 2 emulsion holes on here, where the custom one has 3. So there's that. And that's where your jets would sit. So with all that being said, to measure everything correctly, the idle fuel restrictor on my stock was 29 thousandths. The power valve restrictor circuit was 40 thousandths, and the emulsions is 27 thousandths, and that's on the stock metering block. The reason why I made all those measurements is due to the fact that if I'm going to be messing with air bleeds, I'd rather set that block up to be somewhat very close to what I took off. So that way it's just, you know what I'm saying, it's, if you're matching the metering block you're taking off, then now you're in the good zone of, you know, what to restrict and whatnot. So with all that being said, this is my tuning card I made. And I'll show you everything. So the idle restrictor, I tried a 25 thousandth, and that restricted way too much fuel, because what would happen is the idle would be great, but then when you'd go into a little bit of tipping out of idle, it would go super lean. And I was like, okay. So I ended up custom drilling 28 thousandth for the idle restrictor. That did pretty good. The power valve, I ended up at a 30 thousandth for both holes. So when the power valve opens, it restricts a lot of that fuel, because man, the stock one was 59, and that was just way too much fuel when that would open. The emulsions I left alone. I'm gonna get into that in a little bit, but the main jets, 52 Holley, which is in true a 50. Left the secondary metering plate alone, and I don't think I'm even going to touch the secondaries, because when the secondaries comes in, my AFR is perfect. It's like around 12.5, 12, and I'm pretty happy with that. You can also feel when they engage, which is also a good thing. So for the secondary, I went half. So whatever the list is of the spring weight, I went to the middle, which turned out to be the plain spring. The squirter is 18 thousandths. And the accelerator pump is the number 3 pink on the number 2 linkage. And this car is phenomenal. So the stock power valve that this block would have would be a 6.5. And what would happen is right there back on the freeway, I'd go to kick in 3/4 throttle, and it would snap to almost 17. AFR, which is very lean, and then it would the power valve would kick in, and secondaries would kick in also, and just help richen it all back up. But I was like, it was so lean that there was this hesitation that I was like, something's not going to be happy real soon. So what ended up happening is I was scrolling through social media, and I found this guy. His name's Lewis, and he was asking someone for valve lash adjustment on a 2.8. He's like, hey, I know V8s. I'm new to this whole V6 thing, and I have so much experience because I've already been through 4 engines that I was like, oh, this will be easy. I went in the comment section, and sure enough, there's way too many people saying mixed information that I was like, I'm going to private message this guy what he should do. Well, after doing that, he sent a video back over to me and thanked me because it worked great. Well, in the background, you could see these carbureted race engines, and I was like, whoa, that's awesome. So I was like, hey, who builds those race motors? Who tunes the carbs? And he's like, oh, that's Jeff. And he's like, he's the guy who owns the place. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, if there's any way you can get me in contact with him, that'd be very appreciated. So sure enough, he got me in contact with Jeff, and we had a good talk. He was like, mess with the accelerator circuit first before you mess with the power valve, because he's like, if that's not fine-tuned, then you're going to be back and forth. And I was like, okay. So I put a 21,000 squirter, and sure enough, the bog was back. I was like, okay, no. We'll go back to the 18,000. So I go back to the 18,000 squirter, and I put in a 9.5 power valve, which that way it kicks on like right around 8 on the vacuum gauge. And when I did that, that lean spike it's totally gone. This car sings very well now, and I think I'm pretty well finally tuned on this thing now that I'm just like, I'm ready to enjoy it. It doesn't bog no more. I almost thought about doing the 4150 conversion, but the secondaries seem fine. What else? I guess that's really it. It's really just, the problem is the whole EFI thing and going around. It's the one problem with, I'm not going to say it's a problem, it's just with everyone going EFI, because I remember being a kid going to the drag races and seeing some awesome carbureted cars, and my dad, he grew up with his Mopars, and they had Holley carburetors. My uncles, it's like, I go to the drag race out here, and most of the stuff is just EFI now, and the problem is with that is the people that do have the carburetor knowledge, it's disappearing with the carburetors. So that's all. I'm just bringing that up, that it's like, hey guys, if you're thinking about doing a carbureted build, you really just need to know someone who knows carbs, or you need to try and find people. Like I said, I'm happy enough to meet the right people, message the right people, get the information I was looking for, and this was a battle. This didn't happen just right away. This has been probably 3-4 months of tuning. So yeah, there is that. Which, if you're gonna do this, all I can say is get yourself a pin bore gauge kit and get yourself some good drill bits. Like, I know these are definitely accuracy because they match these precision hole tools. And yeah, so I wanted to do a video of, showing you guys how much power the car makes and stuff, so that's probably to come. I tried doing it today of just doing a drive along, but trying to hold the phone and shift gears, it doesn't work. So stay tuned. Hopefully I can have that video soon.